No, you actually know a lot more than you think you do. The thing is, most of us we don't know how to read the signs that people leave behind. So let's dive right in. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche gave us this incredible set of tools, really a way to find those clues and figure out what they really mean. It's the kind of skill nobody ever teaches you in school, but believe me, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Okay, so Nietzsche kicks things off with this huge idea. Every single one of us wears a mask. It's how we survive. But here's the key thing. He wasn't saying this to be insulting, not at all. It was more like a warning. He was telling us, hey, whatever you do, don't confuse the mask with the person. That surface personality you see, that's not really them. It's their armor, right? It's been carefully built to fit in and be accepted by the world.
And honestly, this is the most crucial point of all. People are leaking the truth all the time. It's not in the words they've practiced, but in the cracks. You know those little moments when they look away or the way they laugh just a little too long? And here's the twist. Most of the time, they aren't even hiding from you. They're hiding from themselves. They're like actors in a play they never even signed up for. So our journey here is to get to the bottom of those deep-seated survival instincts that are shaping their every single move.
All right, so let's start with that first layer, shall we? We're going to start decoding those surface behaviors, the actions and the words that people put out there for everyone to see. Because you'll find the truth is often hiding in plain sight.
You ever notice that person who's always talking about how moral they are, or the one who just has to correct everyone else? Yeah, be a little wary of that. Nietzsche would say that's the will to power wearing a disguise. Morality can sometimes just be a mask for feeling superior. The louder someone is about their own virtue, the more likely it is they're hiding something. I mean, think about it. Real goodness doesn't need a standing ovation.
This next insight is, wow, it's incredibly sharp. It's this idea of projection. It's when we hate something in other people that we're secretly afraid to admit about ourselves. So when someone is constantly, and I mean constantly, mocking other people for being arrogant, chances are they're deeply insecure about their own self-worth. Or if they can't stop pointing out dishonesty everywhere they look, they're probably hiding a big truth they haven't faced yet. See, projection isn't just a defense mechanism, it's a confession.
So here's what you look for on the surface. Pay attention to what makes someone uncomfortable. That's exactly where the real person starts to peek through. Notice those awkward pauses, the questions they dodge. That silence, it's often way louder than their words. And if you see someone who always has to put others down, it's almost always an attempt to shout over their own fear of being small or forgotten. And never forget this, the biggest lies people tell you are the ones they've been telling themselves for a very, very long time.
Okay, let's go a level deeper now. This is where it gets really interesting. Because look, it's one thing to notice that someone's wearing a mask, but it's another thing entirely to see that mask start to crack. And those moments, they aren't just mistakes. Oh no, they're clues. They're pointing to something much, much deeper.
And here is the question that changes everything. Are you ready? What are they truly afraid of losing? See, most of what we do, our actions, they aren't really driven by what we want. They're driven by a deep, usually unconscious, fear of loss. Loss of status, loss of love, loss of our own self-worth. So if you really want to read someone, stop paying so much attention to what they claim they want. Instead, start asking yourself, what are they absolutely terrified of losing?
I mean, we've all heard this one, right? Someone puffing out their chest and saying, I don't care what anyone thinks. It's supposed to be this huge statement of confidence, of total independence. But Nietzsche would lean in and tell us to listen for the volume, not just the words.
And here's why that's so important. Think about it. Someone who has to say over and over, I don't care what anyone thinks, well, they probably care a lot. The person who insists, I'm always happy, they're probably wrestling with some serious stuff. Exaggeration is a massive tell. It's basically the ego shouting at the top of its lungs, trying to drown out that little voice of doubt inside. And this applies to control freaks too. You know the type. The person who micromanages every single detail, who absolutely cannot handle a change in plans, or who has to dominate everyone just to feel powerful. Here's the secret. It's not because they're strong. No way. It's because deep down something inside them feels totally, completely chaotic and out of control. It's like a rule. The stricter the outer shell, the more fragile the person is on the inside. Man, this next one is one of Nietzsche's most haunting insights, and it is so relevant today. Just think about social media for a second. The endless performance, right? The perfectly curated life, the constant updates. He would have seen all of that not as a sign of strength, but as pure desperation. The louder the performance, the more that person feels like they won't be seen or loved without it. It's not a display of power, it's a quiet whisper of need.
Okay,
Now we're going to the deepest level. We're going to the source. Because you have to understand this, behind every single behavior, there's a belief. And behind every belief, there's a wound. This is where we learn to recognize the deep, hidden story that's playing out beneath the surface of every single person you meet.
Listen, this next idea, it changes everything. We love to think people are rational, right? That we make arguments based on logic. But Nietzsche, he believed that underneath every single logical argument, there's an old emotional wound. People form their opinions based on what hurt them in the past, and then they use logic to justify those feelings. So the real question isn't what do you believe, it's what broke you.
It's because people repeat. They just do. We repeat the roles we were forced to play when we were kids. We're constantly reenacting the past in our adult lives. The way someone behaves today, it's literally just their personal biography playing out in real time. Who they are now is just a reflection of who they had to be back then, just to survive. And these patterns, they're basically confessions. Think about it. The child who is punished for showing emotion, they grow up to be the cold, detached adult. The kid who had to earn love, they become the adult who is always performing, desperate for affection. The child who is ignored grows into an adult who chases attention at all costs, terrified of being invisible again. You see, they're not acting based on their current beliefs. They are literally acting out their childhood.
So what about when people attack you or criticize you? What's that about? Well, here's a wild thought. Often people don't attack you because they hate you. They attack you because they admire you. It's painful to see someone else living out a part of yourself that you gave up on a long time ago. So instead of celebrating that person, it's easier to criticize them. Envy, at its core, is just a confession of what they desperately long for but believe they're not allowed to have.
So, okay, after going on this whole journey, through all the masks, the cracks, and the deep wounds, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with a totally new way of seeing. It's about shifting our focus away from judgment and towards something way, way more powerful. And here it is. This is the final truth that really ties everything together. A person's recurring patterns, things like ghosting someone as soon as things get serious, or working nonstop to avoid being alone with their thoughts, those things are not random. Not at all. They are an unspoken confession. They are telling you, without words, exactly what hurts, what they fear, and how they protect themselves.
And that right there is Nietzsche's big secret. He didn't give us these tools so we could see through people and control them. No. He wanted us to see the scared child hiding behind the adult critic, to see the deep fear driving the bully. He wanted us to stop being fooled so we could actually start connecting. Understanding isn't a weapon, it's a bridge. Because here's the final twist in all of this. The more clearly you start to see other people, the more clearly you end up seeing yourself. It's uncanny. Every single pattern you recognize in someone else, it's like it holds up a mirror to your own life. So this whole journey, it was never just about reading other people. It's about remembering yourself.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Now that you can read other people a little more clearly, what pattern have you finally started to recognize in yourself? Because everything we judge in others is usually something we're carrying too. And everything we admire, that's what we long to become. So, what mask have you been wearing? And what truth is waiting just underneath?